Ben Hardy said this best. If you don't control your environment will control you. So you have to be around healthy people. You have to surround yourself with those kind of people. In fact, you want them to be a little bit ahead of you.
Here's JJ Virgin, triple board certified nutrition and fitness expert and 4-time New York Times best-selling author. It's time to reignite wellness.
All right, this is going to be super fun. I have such a different guest on today. So, I think one of my greatest treasures in my life are my friends that I have. And I have this super cool couple who I met early on. They don't realize this, but I look at couples when I was single, before I met my awesome husband, Tim. And I was like going, now there's a relationship that I would love to model. And that was Bo and Dawn Eason. And they become great friends. I had the opportunity to work with Bo Eason personally to help me with my speaking and performing. And then they came and spoke. He spoke at my Mindshare Summit event and crushed it. Oh my gosh. And my husband's coach with him. So I'm super excited because he has a book out. And we had a conversation years ago and I was like, you got to write a book, Bo. And now Bo's got his book out and it is called There's No Plan B for Your A Game. And he is going to be able to get you started on that book. You'll go to jjvirgin.com/Bo and you'll want to do this. And, it occurred to me right after the interview, I don't know why I didn't think of it before. I was like, I need to get a book like this, this book specifically for my kids too. This is one that you're going to want to read. It's going to help you with whatever you're looking to achieve. But it's such an important book for our kids today too, which you'll hear about during this interview. So let me tell you a little bit about Bo. This is the first time I've had an NFL football player on the show. Bo Eason played for the Houston Oilers and the San Francisco 49ers, and later he became an actor and a playwright. His one-man play enjoyed an extended off-Broadway and 50-city national run. And by the way, I got to see him do that play, and it's something to behold. Today, he's a speaker and leadership coach, and he trains some of the most successful people in the world, athletes, artists, entrepreneurs, and executives. And he also consults for Fortune 500 companies. And he is just absolutely a master of performance. And what he decided after he decided he wanted to be the world's best safety in football, his next decision was to become the world's best performer and went after that in the same way. And he truly is. If you ever get a chance to go see Bo Eason or work with Bo Eason, you want to say yes to that. So again, jjvirgin.com/Bo to get started digging into that book. There is no plan B for your A game. To dig into that book right away, you'll be able to do that. And then I want to do a little shout out before we bring him on. You ready? Here we go. Shout out to Amy Calvinese, and 2 thumbs up, she says, 5 stars. There are very few podcasts I trust, as not everyone is credible. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach based in New York City, and I appreciate your credentials and your content. Your podcasts are easy to listen to and always relevant. I admire your passion and dedication to the industry. I confidently recommend your podcast to others when they ask me who they should be listening to for health and wellness pearls. Well, thank you so much. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. And for everyone who is listening, I am a massive advocate for the health and wellness industry and also lifting others up, which is why I do my own show here where I basically interview myself. And I do that based on topics you guys bring up. But then my big goal is to really elevate others in the field because there's so many amazing people out there. And again, today is different because usually they're all health experts, but you're going to find that sometimes you have to go outside the industry to get techniques that are going to help you really go where you want to go. And that's what we're going to do today with Bo. So before I bring Bo on, I want to share one of my favorites with you. Bo Eason, my friend, I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Thank you, JJ. Good to be with you.
Well, you're my first football player on the podcast, I think.
Is that right?
Pretty
Wow.
sure. Maybe we've had one, but I think we had a baseball player. So this is very exciting. And we've never had a football player turned actor turned speaker before. So you're definitely the first in that
Okay, good.
trifecta.
Yeah, good.
So, I've already told everyone about you, but I would love to just go back, roll back the clock to there you are as a kid, and you make this decision despite all odds of being a little slow kid that you are going to become an NFL football player. Like, let's go back there and walk through how the heck you made this all happen.
Okay. I, like a lot of kids, like a lot of people, listening to this podcast, that, my dad was a big influence on me. So he was always at work. I didn't see much of him, but when I did see him, it was really exciting and really eventful. So one afternoon he was home and I couldn't believe he was home. And I couldn't believe he was sitting in front of the TV and he was yelling at the TV. He was yelling for my mom to come in and look at this kid on the TV and how beautiful this kid was. And I'd never heard my dad speak like that. So I went running in there, and what was on the TV was a football game. And he was calling this kid beautiful, which I never heard him use the word beautiful. And he's talking about a man, but he keeps calling him a kid. Look at this kid run. He's beautiful. And that kid was O.J. Simpson.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom and my brother and me, we were just all watching it. And it just became very important to me that how beautiful this kid was running, how graceful he was, how fast he was. And all I could think of was, I want to stop that kid. I want to be able to tackle guys like that. And that was the day where it started, where I learned later that there was this position called safety, which that's their job, is to tackle guys like O.J. Simpson. And so I set out on that quest. That was my declaration. That was my dream, to be the best safety in the world. And I gave myself 20 years to do it, and I started living out that dream that day. So it was really a big influence from my dad, from O.J. Simpson, and then this just desire not to necessarily be O.J. Simpson, but to actually tackle him, to stop him.
Okay, you said so many things that I can unpack here. And again, someone listening might be going, all right, I'm a 50-year-old woman. I don't want to be a football player. How does this relate to me? And why I'm so excited to have you on the show is what we're going to show today, because I've had the opportunity to spend, a lot of time with you and Dawn and actually be coached by you personally, is I'm going to show how what Bo used to become the best in the world as a safety and the best in the world as a performer, we're going to be able to use to become the healthiest you. So you said 4 words that are really, really important that we're going to unpack. One was being, one was declaration, one was the best, and one was 20 years, which is long term. Mm-hmm. And so these are all the things that I want to unpack, because I think that when we look especially at someone getting healthy, they think of doing something for a couple of weeks. And I always look at that, Bo, and I go, all right, so how long have you been unhealthy or not been at where you want to be? know? And they're like, years. And I'm like, all right, so we'll take the next week and we'll turn that around. Like, come on. Yeah. So you, way back when, first thing you said was you had a declaration, which is very different right from the start, that languaging, because first off, we all think in terms of goals. So why that word?
Yeah, I would love for people to start using this declaration word, because, declarations, they wake me up in the morning. I like that word. It turns me on. And I think it does the rest of the people too. Goals don't really do anything for me, but a declaration, think of it like the Declaration of Independence. It's much easier actually to live into a declaration, no different that you and I have done, or all the Americans who are on this podcast right now, we've done. We live our freedom in America every single day. We express it every single day. Well, that's what your declaration is going to be too. And if you notice, the Declaration of Independence is no short-term deal either, right? It is 250 years. And you and I, we didn't know those founding fathers who wrote this declaration, but yet each day you and me wake up and we get ourselves up and we start expressing our freedom, and we live our freedom with the way we move, with the way we travel, with the way we talk, with the way we look. We express our freedom. That is how I want your declaration to be. And if you notice, this declaration goes on and on and on. They never stop. I always think goals are limiting, because goals, now you got to get to work. Now you got to write a bunch of to-do lists out. You got to start, doing these things. What if you declared to be the healthiest 78-year-old on the planet and you got 20 years to do that? Well, all of you, any of you can achieve that, because for one, you've given yourselves the time to do it. Two, you're going to live into this declaration starting right now. So you can start being the healthiest 58-year-old right now. And by the time you're 78, you will be the healthiest, the best, standing at the top of the mountain as far as health and vibrancy goes. And so
I love this. It fits so into everything that I talk about, because I've always said, if you live like a healthy, lean person, over time, you will become that over time.
That's exactly right. So when I was 9 years old, I didn't have the wherewithal to be the best safety in the world, because the best safeties in the world were 25 and 30 years old. I was only 9. But I started being what they were being, which was, I started eating a certain way. I started moving and training a certain way. I started acting a certain way. I was just being the best safety. And as the years passed, the world then caught up with what I was being, and I was, in reality, the best safety in the world at one point. So that's what we can all do. That's why I want you to get rid of your goals and start making a declaration and living into that declaration day one.
Now, one of the other things that you talk about, and I think it's nowhere as important as it is in health. They've done studies where they found that obesity is contagious, that if you hang out with people who are not healthy, if you hang out with someone who's carrying an extra 30 pounds or more, even if they live across the country, if they're one of your best friends, your likelihood of being obese as well is greater than 50%. And so you talk about environment being so important. So if you were going to design this life where you're going to be your healthiest, in 20 years, what would you need to do in your environment?
Yeah, here's how Ben Hardy said this best. He wrote the book called Willpower Doesn't Work, but he said this best. He said, if you don't control your environment will control you. So obviously, this is very simple, but look, say I wanted to lose 25 pounds. Is it a great idea in my environment to have a chocolate cake sitting in the middle of the material?
It's just mean to do that to yourself.
Right. It's the wrong environment. So you have to be around healthy people. You have to surround yourself with those kind of people. In fact, you want them to be a little bit ahead of you, a little bit further down the road than you, better at it than you, maybe more disciplined than you. Now, look, I have a buddy who's one of the fastest men ever recorded, right? So he is the 7th fastest man in the history of our planet. Who do you think his best friends are? Who do you think he hangs out with? He does not hang around with people who run slow. He hangs out with he's the 7th, so he hangs out with the top 10 fastest men in the history of our planet. That's it. That's who he hangs out with. He ain't hanging out with slower people because he's not interested in running slower. Well, now let's put that on your life, on your health life, on your nutrition, on your vibrancy, on your exercise. You can't hang out in an environment that doesn't that is the best is it's not the equivalent. It's got to equal you being the best at health in the next 20 years. If I was you, boy, I would build an environment that was airtight. It would be all healthy great foods. I would hire the most vibrant, the best doctor to take my blood, to tell me what I'm sensitive to tell me what to eat. I would hire the coaches that would put that in place. I would hire the trainers to train me to get this body like that. Now, listen, here's what's crazy about this. Like, we're talking about this as if this is going to be impossible, right? Like it's seemingly impossible. But here's what the science says. This is actually an option that is there for you. You get to decide whether you want that option or you want option B, which would be to be like mediocre or just keep the same body and health that you have right now. You've got what you've got. You've got to make a decision, and then that decision, you start to choose these options, which are only the best for you. Watch what happens to your life. Then watch who's around your life. Watch what happens to the cupboards in your kitchen and your refrigerator. Watch how a chef walks into your life who cooks in this style and says, hey, I'm looking for a new client. You might be it. Watch how everybody around you starts to be in excellent health and excellent shape. And all those people that you're hanging out with now, it's not that you're going to have to get rid of them. It's that they're going to extricate themselves from your life because your life doesn't match up with them being overweight, right? Or them being
right. They'll step up or they'll step out.
That's right.
Yep. I know. One of the key things when people ask me, how do I make sure now that I've gotten healthy, that I stay healthy? I go, you just find fitter friends. We just find some fitter friends.
Yep.
Now, along the way, and this actually came up today because a gal had come to Mindshare, a doctor. And she said, oh my gosh, I did Mindshare was amazing. We danced each night. We were walking all over the place. And then we ate super healthy food. All I have there is super healthy food, right?
Yep.
You've been there.
Yep.
And then she goes, and then the next week I went on a family vacation. I just gained 10 pounds. I ate s'mores. What the heck do I do? So what you talk about course correction, let's put it here. What would you do with that experience? How would you take that so that someone learns from that, they don't see them as a failure and get into that whole wacky track that we can get in?
Yeah. Well, a couple things. One, just know you're always going to fail. Or think of it like this. Say you make a declaration to be the healthiest 78-year-old in the world. And so say you're 58 today, like I am, and I'm on this journey to being the healthiest 78-year-old, and I'm off course about 99% of the time. I'm having a s'more here. I'm, not exercising today because I don't feel like it. You're constantly going to be off course. That is appropriate. That's how this works. I think the reason people don't fulfill on their dreams is they get ashamed of themselves once they fail or have a s'more, and then they quit altogether just because they're so ashamed. You can't do that. You got to self-right yourself. So if you think of a jet that leaves California today and goes to Maui, it is off course because they put it on automatic pilot going to Maui. It is off course 99% of the time, but the automatic pilot is a self-righting mechanism that puts that plane on the inch that it's supposed to land on in Maui. Think of yourself with that self-righting mechanism. You're going to be off course. It's okay. Don't get ashamed. Don't beat yourself up. Just get back into the fray. Get back on top of the horse, and then you just start riding the ship faster and faster.
Now, talking about things that come up, you are a big fan of obstacles. In fact, you say we should try to create obstacles. What is that, Bo?
Look, people hate obstacles, right? But obstacles are the only way. Just think about this. You really got to think about this. If you're building a business, if you need eyeballs, if you need likes, if you need an audience, obstacles are the only way. They're the only way. Say you're interested in getting married. Obstacles are the only attractive thing about you. If you don't have any obstacles, you got no attraction. Nobody was ever attracted to somebody with an easy path. Not one person in the history of our world. Think of a movie. Think of a movie like Rocky or The Wizard of Oz. If Dorothy doesn't have any obstacles in front of her, like, the witch and those flying monkeys, nobody's going to watch Dorothy. No one cares about a girl from Kansas with a dog. Nobody cares. But the minute you put a witch in front of her or a flying monkey, now we fall in love with Dorothy. Obstacles are the only attractive thing about you. That's why you want to invite them in. And you invite them in by making a huge, unreasonable declaration. That guarantees you big, giant obstacles. That guarantees you eyeballs, interest, attraction to you.
And probably a lot of support and help too.
Well, yeah, everybody loves to help somebody who's getting their butt kicked. They do.
Yes.
When you have this big dream and you're going for it and you're getting bloody noses and you're falling down, everyone comes to help you. Everyone goes, hey, I got you. Here's some money. Here's some nutrition. Here's some help. Here's my friend. Here's a home. And they start helping you get to where you need to get, because people are only attracted, like I said before, to those obstacles.
Yeah, and I'll take it to someone, my girlfriend, Nicole Willis, right?
Yeah, I think
Nicole
so.
Willis. All right. So here's a gal who's had body image issues her entire life. And she is, I think she's 45, 46. And she decides that the way she's going to get through these body image issues, and you'll love this, is that she is going to go be in a beauty pageant. I mean, talk about like putting it where she has to wear, the swimsuit, the pageant, the whole bit. She is going to go do this. And this is what and she is this is like the worst thing. Like, it is the scariest thing for her, the biggest obstacle she created for herself. And I remember my words of advice were just, own it, honey. Just go out there. And she was the first runner up to the Mrs. I think it was like Mrs. USA or something like that. It was a Mrs. one or Miss, or, it was really quite amazing. But the shift that it did, and I'd love to talk a little bit about that. So when you set yourself up with a big obstacle, and I would think that you just would keep creating bigger and bigger ones. What happens to you, now that she's done that? I watched her and I was like, the confidence she now has, the self-worth is massive. What happens when you put yourself in front of big obstacles and then, you might fail a couple times getting through it and then you blow through it? What does it tell you? How does it help you get to be that best and get that declaration solid?
Oh, it gives you this self-belief that you got what it takes to fulfill on this thing. Say all of us who are listening today all said, okay, let's all commit to run the LA Marathon in March. And I've never run a marathon before. I don't know if you have, JJ, and I don't know how many.
No, it sounds like the worst thing ever.
It sounds like horrible, right? But listen, but what if we committed to it and we said, let's all do it. And we've got to do it under, we gave ourselves some unreasonable time, like 4 hours or something crazy, right? Well, and we're starting now, we're starting this training now. So what do you think is going to happen to us? What do you think our day is going to look like tomorrow morning? And then what's our night going to look like tonight, and then tomorrow night, and then the night after that? For one, we have just set ourselves up for some serious obstacles, because now our food intake has to change. Our mindset has to change. We have to go out. We have to buy those tight running suits, which that's going to change our mindset. We've got to put that on. We've got to hydrate differently. Everything about our life is now different. And now we train up until March. And the day is coming and we all meet and we're all looking at each other going, holy crap, I have been far outside my comfort zone for 6 months now. All of us. And now we run that thing. Now, whether we finish or not finish, whether we come in at the right time or the wrong time, it doesn't matter. What matters is we faced every obstacle that we created for ourselves. We proved that we can fulfill for ourselves, and we just start a new thing. And so that's the long process. That's why, look, my kids love this instant gratification, right? Because they grew up in it. But you and I, we didn't grow up in that, but we've been taught to think that this instant gratification is so great. It's not so great. I'll tell you what's great is mastery, is measuring yourself up against a marathon or other people. That's great. That way, at the end of your plan, at the end of your dream, you can at least look back and go, man, I did that. I came through. Instead of sitting around regretting that you never ran a marathon in your life, or, oh, I just don't want to even start running a marathon because I just don't think I could ever do it. That is no way to live your life. It is the long-term plans that I'm looking for.
Yeah. And, when you really look at the things that have had a big impact in your life, you're like, oh my gosh, I did it. It wasn't something that took you a minute.
Yep.
Right? It was the thing that was so much work and so far out of your comfort zone, and you so much delayed gratification, and you just went for it. You lived it every day. You became it, and then it happened. And those are the things that are worth it. So I'm going to be giving everyone a little action step after today. But I know you have something that is going to help them make this all happen. So this is super exciting because Bo's got a great book, and There's No Plan B for Your A Game. But along with that, you are going to get the first chapter. So you're going to dive right into that and get started right away. So I want to make sure that you download that, and you're going to be able to get that at jjvirgin.com/Bo, B-O, and you will be able to grab that, get started, because right after this, I'm going to give you a little challenge because I want you to take this and be able to put it into immediate action. So again, jjvirgin.com/Bo. And Bo, thank you so much for doing this. I'm so glad this book is out in the world, because not only do I think this is important for all of us, and you probably haven't had someone do a podcast interview and apply it to like health yet, I'm not sure, but this is one that you are going to want to get for yourself, but also this is like something you want for you, and you also want to give it to your kids. Like this is something that is super impactful for a kid to see, because I think nowadays we have such a big challenge out there with our kids. Again, just like you said, we were taught to delay gratification, and boy, it's just the opposite now, and it's not doing our kids any favors.
Yeah, it sure is. Wow, JJ, it's been fun. And I love, like you said, I love it, matching this up with people's health, because the truth of the matter is, look, to fulfill on your birthright, which is to be the best, to fulfill on that, you need to have the stamina to run the miles. You have to have that stamina to live those years. And what happens is your body, what I've noticed when I'm working on these long-term goals, is my body, not necessarily that I'm dieting, but my body gets leaner and leaner, because you can't fulfill on the dream if you're carrying around, excess weight.
Right. That's with whatever you do. Like, we really look at it like whatever you do in your life, you need to have the confidence and self-worth to do it. So in order to do that, you need to take the best care of yourself. Like if you look at people who are successful in whatever they do, they tend to also be super healthy, because that's what's required. Yep. So that all goes hand in hand. All right. Thank you so much. I super appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time today, Bo. You're always amazing. And again, jjvirgin.com/Bo. And after the break, stay with me, because I'm going to show you how to put this into immediate action. Welcome back. Okay, this is kind of a new thing I started to do, because I realized that information without action is just noise, really. So I wanted to make sure that as we're interviewing these amazing people, and like, how much do you love Bo? He's incredible. I want to make sure you're able to take that information and go, all right, now, what do I need to do with it? So each week I like to issue a challenge based on the information. And the first thing that I love here is, I love this idea of a declaration rather than a goal. And the minute I heard it, I will tell you, I'm working on a business goal right now. And I was like, all right, I changed it from goal to declaration. And the mindset shift with that is so powerful. So that's what I'd love to have you do. If you're working on a health goal, maybe it is that I am going to be the healthiest 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, like whatever it is, I want you to think of that declaration. So that's the first part of this. I've got 3 parts to this. And the next part, so declare, create your declaration. The next part, and I think back to one of my nutrition mentors, Robert Cran, who used to say, think about how long you've been in the state you're in. Maybe you're struggling with an autoimmune disease. Maybe you are working on adding muscle and losing body fat, whatever it is. Maybe if you've been struggling for a long time and you haven't really taken action, let's say that you've been suffering for 5 years, you haven't done anything about it. It's completely unrealistic to think 5 days later this is going to change. So you got to think about the amount of time you've been in this and then what you need to do to turn that time around. So I love what Bo talked about, because he really gives it time. Now, you still want to have success metrics all along the way, but I truly believe that in terms of health, if you live like a healthy, lean person, you will become one. You will become your best you over time. But again, we're going to be adjusting course all along the way, because maybe you have to figure out your hidden food intolerances. Maybe you have to become more metabolically flexible through the sugar impact diet. Maybe we need to throw in some intermittent fasting or up your workouts, add more intensity. So you course correct all along the way. But let's make sure that we are also giving it the time that it's going to take to heal your metabolism and make those shifts. Okay, so declaration, delayed gratification, and then I was trying to read my writing, I can't read my writing. But now I remember what it is. And it's something Bo talked about, creating the right environment. Now, when I was on the Dr. Phil show, Dr. Phil had in his book, create a no-fail environment. This is so key critical. There's certain things I know that are total triggers for me. Like if I had a cheesecake in the refrigerator, my evil twin at night will take me down. Like that's just, not something that I can handle. So think about if you have something that creates a trigger for you, and then don't bring that enemy into the house. Also, in terms of creating a no-fail environment, it's hanging out with people who are fitter than you. It's hanging out with people who support you being your best self, right? It's really creating that environment that's a success environment rather than an environment that is not. So create the declaration, delay your gratification, and create an environment of success, or like Dr. Phil said, create a no-fail environment. And again, remember to grab Bo's first chapter. You can start reading right away. Go to jjvirgin.com/Bo, B-O, Bo. And you can start in right away with that. And I look forward to seeing what happens. So use that trifecta, and I will see you next time. Bye.